Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
We're going to start off with prayer. Our Father who established Yeshua in the heavens, exalted is your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our transgressions, as we forgive those who transgress against us. And lead us not into evil inclinations, but deliver us from outer darkness. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Father, y'all, we thank you right now for just constantly watching over this day. We thank you right now for waking us up this morning, closing our right mind. Father, y'all, we thank you right now we come against all forms of hindrances. We come against all forms of sickness. We come against all forms of disease. We thank you right now for just constantly just being with us as a whole. We thank you right now we realize that it's in you that we move, that we live, that we have our being. We come against everything, Father, y'all, that's contrary against you and against the laws of you. We thank you right now for just constantly allowing us to walk in righteousness and be upright. We magnify your name right now because you're worthy. We come against all ruachs that be trying to hinder us and trying to come against our mind, come against our spirit. We come against everything that tries to put our soul in jeopardy of salvation. We thank right now for just constantly being with us and watching over us.
Yes, Father.
Father, yeah, I've said so many words that now I take the time out just to magnify your name.
Yes,
I
Father.
magnify your name right now because you're worthy. I magnify your name because you're awesome.
Yes, Father.
Who that like unto thee? For you alone art the most high.
Yes,
For you
you
alone
are.
are wonderful. For you alone are marvelous.
Yes, Father.
I thank you right now for sitting high and looking low. I thank you right now for being the ultimate problem solver. I magnify your name right now. You said it's not by might, not by power, but it's by your ruach, says Yah. I thank you right now for just constantly just being who you are. I thank you right now for just constantly allowing your will
Yes,
to be
Father.
done in us. I thank you right now for your grace and mercy.
Yes,
I thank you right now for your undeserved kindness, for everything that you've
Father,
done.
yeah.
I thank you right now for those times when you nodded, when it was times we should have been chastised, when it was times we
Yes,
should have
Father.
been punished based on certain choices that we made. I thank you right now for just constantly opening up our eyes, enlightening us,
Yes, Father.
giving us understanding, giving us knowledge and wisdom. I thank you right now, Father, yeah, because you alone are marvelous. Who is that like unto thee?
Yes,
I just
Father.
magnify your name. I take the time out to do what normally you don't hear, just the basic exaltation. I thank you right now for just
Yes,
letting
Father.
you just constantly just be in my life, letting you just
Yes,
constantly
Father.
just tell me when it's like something I want to go in a different direction with, and you begin to say, no, go in this direction.
Yes, Father.
I
We
thank you for
appreciate you
giving
for
me
that,
the
Abba.
strength to
Yes,
yield
Abba, yeah.
and to not do what I
Hallelujah.
want to do anyway, and to be able to
Hallelujah.
listen
Thank
to
you,
you.
Abba, yeah,
I
for
thank you for
listening.
signs. I thank you for once. I
Hallelujah.
thank you for communicating with us through
Yes, Father.
signs.
We
I
appreciate
thank
it,
you for
Abba.
showing us things
Hallelujah.
through confirmation every
Yes,
time
Abba.
we
Thank
need it.
you, Abba.
I magnify
Hallelujah.
your name because I know that it is you.
Yes,
I
Father.
thank you right now there's no mistakes. You don't do things by chance. I thank you right now we
Hallelujah.
understand that it's always on purpose with you. I thank you
Yes,
for
Father.
allowing us to have the eyes to be able to see and the ears to be able to hear.
Yes,
I thank
Father.
you for giving us vision. I thank you for giving us dreams. I thank you
Yes,
for the
Father.
gift of the prophetic begin to operate and begin to flow around us. I thank you right now
Yes,
for
Father.
allowing us to be able to see things before it happens. Allow us to be able to see trouble down the road.
Yes,
Don't let
Father.
us go down the road when it's going to be trouble and it's going to be something that's going to hinder us as a whole.
Yes,
We
Father.
magnify your name right now because you're worthy. I thank you right now for just being you. I thank you for just merely creating us. I just thank you right now. Who is that like unto thee? For you alone are worthy.
Yes,
In
Father.
the name of your son, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. So be it.
So be it. Hallelujah.
All right, y'all. Shabbat Shalom again. We're going to talk about Isaiah a little bit and King. We call him Uzziah, but I think it's Uzziah. This was Isaiah's cousin. When you do research, you see that Amos, which was Isaiah's father, and Amaziah, which was King Uzziah's dad, were brothers, which would make King Uzziah and it would make Isaiah first cousins. And this is the reason why, as we start getting into the scriptures, I'm going to show you how a lot of people can be standing in your way from doing what you need to do. It's like you'll wonder why did he see the Most High sitting high and lifted up when King Uzziah died? Well, if you think about this, he had a great influence. First of all, you got a cousin that's a king. So and he's already getting his way to show you in the beginning, you're going to see King Uzziah was 16 years old when he came out. So at 16 years old and he grows to be strong, we'll look and see where in the beginning he was humble. And this always happens. In the beginning, he was humble. As soon as he got strength and he got an armor around him, he became cocky. But when you read the script, it said he was a man following after the Most High. We talking about King Uzziah or King Uzziah. And this thing right here is it sticks out because of the fact that with him actually starting out that young, he's naive to how to move and everything. So he's doing what he's supposed to do in the beginning. He's contacting the elders and doing everything, but it gets to a point, he gets strong, and he wants to usurp the authority of a priest. This shows you how a good king turns bad, but still is good, because it's like you got a curse on you, but yet you still serving the Most High, but you can't do the duties that you're supposed to do. But and the most time when I look at this, I think about when it say, you ran well, but who did hinder you? So he was a hindrance to Isaiah. And what made him hindrance was because he was powerful and he was able to get everything he wanted to get. He had all kind of men around him, he had armies around him and everything. And you'll see the scripture that'll tell you that when he became strong, that's when he began to do things his own way. That's why the word says the way that seemed right unto man, but the end of it is destruction. Now, at no point did it say he was evil. It just said that he tried to usurp the wrong authority. And this is what we have, a lot of people not realizing that just because you don't see something as a direct sin, when you step out of order, you're against the Most High, because the Most High struck him through those priests with leprosy like that. So, and he was like that until he died. But the thing is, he was still in the way of Isaiah, even with that going on, because he had a lot of pull and he had a lot of power. He was well connected. When we look at this right here, we'll see that a lot of times the Most High have to move people out your way so that you can actually get to where you got to go, because you're looking at them. Like that, when you think about it, kings, they sit high. I mean, they sit on the throne. They actually do what they're supposed to do. They call most of the shots, just about all the shots. You weren't even supposed to come in the midst of a king without gift and coming out with a sad conscience. Like your head can be beheaded. So everything that you see going on now is going to show you, we're going to give you a precursor to why I look at this as being a hindrance to Isaiah until he died. And you'll see a little background on King Uzziah, or King Uzziah. You go to 2 Chronicles chapter 26, starting off at the first verse.
2 Chronicles chapter 26 reads, Then all the people of Yehudah took Uzziah, who was 16 years old, and made him king in the room of his father, Amaziah. He built Eliad and restored it to Yehudah. Two years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Yekoliah of Jerusalem.
And you see it say 16 years old. So it's showing that he's young. He don't, I understand we had one that was 8, but this here, he's 16, and he's at this point, it would probably been better if he'd been 8, because he could have been groomed into it a little bit better. But he's already, coming in to be a young man as a king, because 16 back then is not the 16 now. But I know that the way things are set up, it's like in his eyes, he's trying to do everything that's right, but some people can't handle the power. Some people can't handle power and authority. They abuse it. This is why you see most of the people that's actually, and I don't really want to get into this to get off track, but that's why a lot of the cops and stuff, some of them were weak back in the world, and they use that as authority to get back at everybody. It's like almost having a short man complex or something. You mean like that? It's like, so when you look at this here, you'll see everything going smooth, but as soon as you get a little power, it's like now you want to get beside yourself. And this happens when they be like, oh, they didn't change. Some people have to, I would say, express their authority through leadership, and it's just offensive to people, and they're doing their job. But then you have those that are not just doing their job, that's going overboard, deliberately trying to do stuff, too much extra stuff. You have folks trying to set traps for you and all kind of stuff, trying to set you up and all this, and they're supposed to be somebody that you're looking up to. Then you have people, just the way that they move alone is just a bad example as a whole, like that, because they're not moving right. And you think that's the way you're supposed to move because of the fact that there's somebody to look up to and they have power. But go ahead.
4, and he did that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah, according to all that his father Amaziah did.
Now, I want to point out this to say he did that which was right in the sight of Yahuwah. At no point did it say he was an evil man. This is what I'm trying to show you. What we deem to be evil and righteous, what the Most High deemed to be righteous and evil is different. Like he probably didn't think it was nothing wrong as we get to him trying to usurp the authority of a priest. But king don't mean priest. You have to have both anointed. Like you have certain ones that were prophet and priest, and this is Samuel. If you're not prophet and priest, you just prophet. If you prophet and priest, then you both, that means you can usurp the authority of the priesthood along with the authority of being a prophet also. If you don't have it, then the Most High is going to really, bring in some checkmates on you. So it's like, go ahead, babe.
5, And he sought Elohim in the days of Zechariah, who had understanding in the visions of Elohim. And as long as he sought Yahuwah, Elohim made him to prosper.
See that? It says, as long as he sought, he made him to prosper. But the thing is, when you stop seeking the Most High, then everything starts going downhill. Even when you don't see it, it's crumbling. And you don't see it because you puffed up, but everybody else around you notice that you done got pompous, that everything done changed and you done start kind of what we say getting beside yourself. And the Most High is the one that pulls you back and brings you back down to reality. Go ahead, babe.
6. And he went forth and warred against the Philistines, and broke down the wall of Gath, and the wall of Yavna, and the wall of Ashdod, and built cities about Ashdod among the Philistines. And Elohim helped him against the Philistines and against the Abiram that dwelt in Gurbaal and in Menunim. And the Ammonites gave gifts to Uzziah, and his name spread abroad even to the entering in of Mitzrayim, for he strengthened himself exceedingly. Now
you see that say, for he strengthened himself exceedingly. I just wanted to get to the point to show you that this same Uzziah that we're going to read about in Isaiah 6 that had to die for Isaiah to be able to see the Most High and lifted up and his train fill the temple. This same Uzziah is showing you how strong he is at this point in time while he's humble. And he has the strength, but as soon as he starts getting strong, at some point, he gets in his own power. He starts getting beside the Most High and starts saying, look, bump all that. Anybody can do the priesthood. The priest can do it. I can't. I'm the king. And that's where you mess up at when you have one that'll say like, well, I'm the boss. I can do whatever, but you got to lead by example. You don't just do whatever. Like the Most High doesn't just do whatever. He doesn't force you to serve him. He doesn't force you to. This is why you don't get offended when one don't want to hear the word. They don't want to hear the truth. This can't be ever personal because the Most High ain't taking a person. He got a place for you. Like that, he got 2 places. One, you can choose one or the other. And so when you look at all this for what it's worth, once you get strength, you got to make sure that when you come into some power or come into some money or come into some level of authority, you don't let go your morals. You don't let go that you still following and submitting to a king. This is why something like, I think about this stuff and say, okay, what happens if all of a sudden the Most High blessed me with $10 million? Well, in my mind, I'm already calculated. Now I can't just run off. I got to sit down, go to the drawing board and say, what do you want me to do? Like, and people can't be mad because it's like, he's not saying, do this. I can't let you pull me here and there just because you know that this has happened. No, I got to figure out what he said do. If he say, go build a city here at my expense, I got to go build a city there and set it up the way he wants to set it up. You can't look at it like how people, when they win the lotto and all this stuff and they just start running, because before I had this money, I was still a servant of the Most High. I wasn't in the world, so I can't use the way the world pattern things. I can't pattern myself after the world and spend it the way that they would want me to spend it. I got to say, okay, what do you want me to do? I have to go before prayer before I spend a dime with that amount of money. Like that. I mean, I'm talking about before I buy a soda out of it, I need to go before some type of prayer and fast and figure out what needs to happen. Because I know at that point, things done got serious. And that's something, if you don't understand that, then you're probably going to fall anyway, because what's going to happen, you're going to start running. Next thing you know, you don't have nothing. I understand at that point, it's a game changer, and it's pretty much game over if the Most High do that, because I already know he's finna set up the right things, and it's going to be set up what needs to be set up the way he wanted to be done, not what I think I'm wanting to do. He may say, look, don't buy nothing for a whole year. I want to show you some discipline. I got to do that. No matter how much the flesh say buy something, I can't do nothing. This is the only way that you can make it. Most of us can't handle this type of power and this type of money because we run off with that mentality if we've hit the lotto, because most of those people wind up broke like that. I'm like, how you get broke as you hit the lotto or somebody that got paid through some form of sports, millions of dollars, and now you have nothing to show because you didn't sit down and dedicate this situation to the Most High. Maybe you wasn't a part of the Most High.
Like it said in 8, it said he strengthened himself. It didn't say the Most High strengthened him.
Yeah, you're right. He strengthened himself, but the Most High was with him, right. Like that. But like you said, that was the actual, I would say, I think it was kind of like a given, you know what I mean, that you had to do this, but the Most High backed him up until he started trying to usurp the authority of the priesthood. So it was like, I think it was kind of a thing where, people were kind of, like when you read more, they were giving him gifts. And
when he was strong.
Say when he was strong, his heart was lifted up. That's right. And he didn't have the Most High with him the whole while. At some point, he broke a loose because when
Right.
you read up earlier, started saying that
Right.
he was following the Most High. So at some point,
Mhm.
he really just couldn't handle it. I think it was a heart issue. Like you say, he got to a point where maybe some of the moves he was making may have not have been moves the Most High wanted him to make, but he was just probably with him until he crossed the line. But yeah, strengthened himself and I think the issue came when he got beside himself, like when he
Right.
got to a point where I guess he looked around and said, man, he may have took credit, like you said,
Right.
said, look at all this I have done. If you
'Cause I
did
know
that, yeah.
they'll say, well, it says the Most
Mhm.
High strengthened him. or
Yeah, I know
whatever.
what you're saying. I know what you're saying. And yeah. I mean, like say he had all the backing behind him, all the power behind him, and I don't know. At some point, he went south. It's like it got to a point where maybe he started doing more, too much, like that. And it got to a point where after he started doing too much, that he was like, "Look, yeah, I gave you this and that, but you did that,
It's
that, and
easy
that."
to get
Yeah,
beside
I mean,
yourself
like
and
that.
all this stuff is happening. It's easy to forget
I
that
see what
it's
you're
the
saying.
Most High doing it,
I see what you're
everything
saying.
falling in place for you.
You know, that almost remind me of somebody that's trying to shine or whatever. The Most High say, "Hey, look, I got this. You know, I'm just gonna give an example. I'm just gonna say a Lincoln or whatever. You know, I got this Toyota. Well, I got something for you. I just want you to stay low key. It's nice, real nice. It's shining. You go and get a Bugatti, a Bentley. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Like he said, I ain't tell you to do all that. I guess he's saying he's stretched because he was with him, but
Right.
you can't explain everything being the will of the Most High that he had
Right.
going on because also kings
It's
got
saying
level
he
of authority
strengthened himself
also.
exceedingly.
That's
he
right.
really
That's right.
wrote it.
And also kings, they have a level of authority. So it was coming. He just couldn't handle it. It's like at some point, some people just ain't built to handle it when it get to a point where he would probably have to been seeking the Most High in every move he made with the kind of heart he had to be able to make it. Because in the beginning, it doesn't show him being awkward, I would say, against the Most High. Just showed that once he strengthened himself, like you say,
Right.
he probably put too much strength with it like that.
Make it right when you are weak, he is strong.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
it
So
sounds like he strengthened himself.
yeah, and I get it. So that's where he went wrong at, not constantly using the Most High
Yeah.
in the whole thing. And what king is going to do that though? You
Right.
think about it? Like it's already a thing. You already lifted up on pride just for being a king anyway, it seemed like. So the last thing he want to hear, like one of them elders may have came and told him, hey man, what you doing? He's not gonna hear it because
Right.
I'm the king. You know what I'm saying?
And
like
all
that.
this great stuff is happening. The Most High has been with him.
And he see it's all prospering, like you
Right.
say, and the other people, they even beat the Philistines, and everything's happened. So nobody's beating them. So it's like, well, who can beat us? We'll win situations. So I get it. What we go now? 16.
Remind the people trying to go to the nations and stuff.
Oh yeah. If you say go to the nation, where you headed? Like where are you going? Like to what nation are you going to? It's like, and this isn't saying you can't do this stuff, but most of this is not the Most High. It's a pattern. It's already set up already. It's almost like buying a online pre-built shop or something like that. It's already set up. You just kind of just bought into what everybody else was doing. You was never seeking him because everybody ain't supposed to be doing that like that,
Right.
But then here it is, you going there, but your city's in ruins. What nations you went to without that first nation being? That's why I talk about, it's like, your first authority as a man is to take care of your household. So if you got something lacking there and so you got people sick there and you out healing out there. I'm not saying people can't have challenges, but you should be spending a ton of time on who's sick there. Like that, they should be like, hey, look, you got to go help somebody else. I'm telling you, it should be like, they're trying to get you away from them. If you got people sick there and you run out laying hands on people, and I just don't understand some of this stuff sometimes, but I guess sometimes it's just to be in the limelight. So I'm probably not going to understand it. I mean,
Right.
You got somebody that's in need around you, and here it is, you going somewhere different. I mean, I never understood, you got people in the congregation that's hurting, don't have this, don't have that. Y'all getting money together to send to the fake, people.
over there.
Yeah, I mean, but yet you got people now ain't got no lights, but they done went in on some fundraiser to send that way because of a commercial, or because of the heart that you have thinking that that's the people of the Most High.
Right.
It's a trick, it's just a scam.
16.
Yeah, 16.
26 and 16. But when he was strong, his heart was lifted up to his destruction, for he transgressed against Yahuwah Elohehu and went into the temple of Yahuwah to burn incense upon the altar of incense.
And see, this is a no-no. Only person supposed to do this is the priest. The prime example, remember Saul. Samuel's time was delayed. He hadn't came back yet, and he went to go do the sacrifice. He told me, he said, what have you have done? It was Samuel tells Saul, what is it that you have done? He said, well, I thought you wasn't coming, so I forced myself to do it. Say, no, you have disobeyed. He said, obedience is better than sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Let them know, now you can't do what you want to do. Like, it doesn't matter if it don't happen. Like, just because, the teacher didn't come to class today, you don't sit up there to the board and start giving out lessons. And no, you usurping the wrong authority. You sit down when the class is over, then you go to the next class, or you go out of there. But you don't get into the wrong position and start usurping authority of the person that will be doing that just because they're not there. These are excuses that people make, like, well, I couldn't find nobody, so I just married him anyway. I married anyway. Like that ain't the Most High. That's you. You didn't got impatient. You done it anyway. Now you have to deal with the result. Just as much as you done it anyway, just how much harder you have to fight the consequence behind what you've done. That's what it is. So it's not going to be a break. And like a lot of times you see chaos in certain situations. Just example where people can't sleep at night because they done went and got cars and houses and got bound up in all type of debt and stuff. You got all these notes and stuff coming in. But yet everything looks good on the outside, but you're not getting any rest because the Most High didn't say do that. You done this so you can look a certain way. And so you can probably feel a certain way. You say, look, I like this. I like how this is. You got from Renaissance on back to Nissan. You know what I mean? Everybody you owe to Rocket Market. You got everybody. You went there and the Most High said, look, I didn't tell you to do none of this. I told you to wait. But you went and did it anyway. And now you can't rest. Like you usurped authority on your own. You went and did it. And you're trying to use him as a trying to let him stamp something that you decided to do. Like you made the actual situation to come to pass based on what you want to do, but you want the Most High to put his blessings on it. So, you chose somebody, said don't choose, but you want him to bless the marriage or the union. It's like, no, he's saying, look, he'll be there through grace, but you still got to deal with the fact that you weren't supposed to give it this person, but you got with them on your own. So, go ahead, baby. 17.
And Azar Yahu the priest went in after him, and with him 80 priests of Yahuwah that were valiant men. And they withstood Uzziah the king and said unto him, it appertains not unto you, Uzziah, to burn incense unto Yahuwah, but to the priests, the sons of Aaron, that are consecrated to burn incense. Go out of the sanctuary, for you have transgressed, neither shall it be for your honor from Yahuwah Elohim.
Now look, at this point, they gave him a chance. They gave him a chance to leave, and the Most High wasn't playing. I think that's about maybe 40 plus men that came in to probably, to withstand him. And at this point here, they give them an opportunity to look, stop while you're ahead. But he chose not to stop, so he's gonna have to deal with the consequences. Go ahead. Yeah, is the score 20?
I thought it was.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You're right. So 24, 6, 80. That's right. About 80.
And they withstood. Okay. Let's see. 19. The Uzziah was raw, and he had a censer in his hand to burn incense. And while he was wroth with the priest, the leprosy even rose up in his forehead before the priest in the house of Yahuwah from beside the incense altar. And Azariah, the chief priest, and all the priests looked upon him, and behold, he was leprous in his forehead. And they thrust him out from thence. Yea, himself hasted also to go out, because Yahuwah had smitten him. And Uzziah the king was a leper until the day of his death, and dwelt in a several house, being a leper. But he was cut off from the house of Yahuwah. And Jotham his son was over the king's house, judging the people of the land.
That's it. Just to pretty much want to look at that part.
Right.
Now, the whole point of reading all that was just to show you, I'm trying to show you Uzziah, King Uzziah, the one that was in Isaiah chapter 6, the one that actually died. And that's when Isaiah, now you see why he had to leave, for Isaiah to see the Most High. You don't even get none of this without, it's like you can't just really go to scriptures and look at them and tell people if they haven't studied. It's like, a lot of times I think, I have to realize that just because I read something, that don't mean the crowd or who may see the video will be the went and done the research. I mean, we research all the way to, if you do your own research, you'll find out how names will switch up, but it'll tell you who is who. Like I went to Chronicles because when you go further back, it doesn't say Uzziah's name. It gives you an alternate name for him. And it talks about leprosy. But when you go to Chronicles, talk about leprosy. But when you go back, you'll start seeing Isaiah's dad and his dad is cousin, but you got to read that. And so they're first cousin, for one thing. And not only are they first cousin, it's a first cousin that started out humble, that then got beside himself. I mean, like that, so he was powerful. But, I just wanted to give the background on that. So now when we go to Isaiah 6, it'll let you know, when you look at this, you'll be able to see why, it was such a big deal that he died, because that's what I'm telling, what type of connection, when you think about back then, we think about now you have cousins that you may say that's cool, but back then it was deeper, because it's like, it was real big on the people. It's like it was deep with being, Yasharal. It's like, so at that point, it was a major big distraction to Isaiah to have a cousin that was connected to that type of power. Just because he was stressed out didn't mean he didn't still have no pull. Now, he just wasn't able to usurp any more authority or anything inside of the Most High's, connection. He couldn't be king, and he went special for him to do nothing that the priest was doing. But we'll look at Isaiah chapter 6. Now you'll see when it starts talking about, what had to happen, what was the process. The Most High had to get some things in order. Go ahead. It's be Isaiah 13:08. No, 7:69.
Okay. 6 and
1.
In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also Adonai sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple.
So at that point, and he started to think about this. So the Most High presented himself up there. He was like, I'm the Most High. I'm not saying that Uzziah was the Most High, but I'm just showing you a way to look at it. He said, I'm the Most High. I'm the one that's sitting high and lifted up. I'm the one that has the esteem, that actually, in the train gonna fill the temple. Like, I am all powerful and almighty. And I'm saying this because when you research kings, they had that train behind them. And every time they would take victory, they would actually put another link to that train. And it say his train filled the temple like that. So if you look at the train filling the temple, it's just showing you that, hey, look, there's no other one. I'm almighty. Like, the train has stopped. I'm the one, I got the longest train. Like that, so it's just showing you. So when it says train fill the temple, you look at the kings and the way kings sit up, the way their authority is set up, everything that you look at concerning kings, we overlook some of the fact that you don't come in the king's presence with a sad country. You don't come in the king's presence without bearing some type of gift or doing something. Like, the king don't drink his own stuff out the beginning. He got a cupbearer. Like, everything is happening in the king's favor. So he's saying, look, all this stops with me. I'm the Most High. I'm high and lifted up. My train gonna fill the whole temple. So it's time to look up at me. No longer will you look up at another being high. Go ahead.
2. Above it stood the seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he did fly.
So when you look at seraphim, like fire, pretty much, like they represent purifying. These are the ones that are actually saying holy, holy, holy. These are the ones that are actually dealing with some of the hottest celestial light as a whole. They're pretty much made out of fire for the most part. That's why I talk about our Yah is a consuming fire. Go ahead, man.
And one cried unto another, said, holy, holy, holy is Yahuwah Sabaoth. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the post of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. Then said I, woe is me, for I am undone, because I am a man of unclean lips, and I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips. For my eyes have seen the King Yahuwah Sabaoth. Then flew one of the seraphim into me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth and said, lo, this has touched your lips, and your iniquity is taken away, and your sin is purged.
Pause it there. So whether we know this to be true or not, first he said he was a man of unclean lips, but then after that we can speculate. But when you get to it, it say your iniquity is taken away, your sin is purged. So it's like, we talk about the gifts and callings and everything. We see everything happen. Like, the Most High in the end, the people going to say, did not we cast out, demons in your name and heal the sick? He'll say, depart from me, for your work was of iniquity. So at this point, Isaiah's work is no longer going to be of iniquity. It's like he's going to be actually purged and clean. Because see, him being a prophet had nothing to do with whether or not he was a sinful man or not. It had nothing to do with what was going on in his actual life, because the Most High called him and say, look, you've been called, you're going to have to get it right. Like that, because think about it. You think about when he started talking to Jeremiah, he tell him he wasn't even in existence. He said, before you even came into existence, he said, I knew you. Like that, I anointed you. Like, everything was already set up. So it's like he already has an actual mandate on his life. So at some point, that we can't erase the fact that we're shaped in sin and born in iniquity. I mean, everything has happened. You're not born righteous like that. You're born in sin. So at this point, this is even before the Mashiach. So we know at this point, there had to be a whole level of distraction, a whole lot of things going on. Like, you want to do the right thing. It's like when Paul started talking about, when you start looking at Romans, when I listen to do what is good, what is evil is present with me. There's no longer I that do it, but the sin that dwells in me. It's like he don't be wanting to do this, but it's like he feel like something like that law of sin and death is making him do it. Like he's going to be purged from all of this as a precursor. You don't even have what we would call the indwelling of the Ruach HaKodesh at this time. What you have now is more of an outpouring, more of an anointing that you have that's being moved. Like the spirit of Yahweh will move upon certain prophets back then during these type of times. We would talk about them having a Ruach, but it wasn't in the sense of it being done for all sins. Like it wasn't like to the point where this was going to take him to the end, because there was a sacrifice that came, because the Mashiach hadn't came yet. But when you look at the breakdown of this right here, he no longer has an excuse. Now what? We purified everything. No, you're ready to roll. Now what? So go ahead, baby.
Also, 8:8. Also, I heard that the voice of Adonai saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Then said I, here am I, send me.
So he had to think something was wrong prior. For him to say, "Here am I, send me," he had to think there was really some issues going on that he had to take care of. That's why the Most High set it up, and he sent the seraphim angels to look, live coals, I'm gonna purify your mouth. I need you to be able to speak on my behalf. I don't want any excuse. Go ahead.
And he said, "Go and tell the people, hear ye indeed, but understand not, and see ye indeed, but perceive not."
So the Most High is going to have the people, like, the people are not going to, it's like, at this point, it's like it's a halt. Like for the righteousness of the Most High, when you look into a lot of this, it's like he's saying, look, it's been times where certain times he'll give something, or bring something your way, but it's like he'll make it where you ain't going to be able to get it, because it's telling how long all this transgression been going on. It's almost like I'm going to freeze time. He's going to be saying it, but they still ain't going to get it, because I need them to go through something that they need to go through in the process of this. Go ahead.
Make the heart of this people fat, and make their eyes heavy, and shut their eyes, lest they see with their ears, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and return and be healed. Then said I, Adonai, how long? Then he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate.
So look here. So Isaiah, that's why he's like, how long is this got to go on? Because he don't understand that the righteousness of the Most High doesn't have to operate in what we think is right and wrong in our natural mind. Like, like I keep explaining to people a lot of times, that it's the righteousness of the Most High that's going to keep the lake of fire hot so that you can be punished. It's a righteous judgment. But we look at right and wrong and good and bad in the way people look at love, outside of an action where you look at it as more of a gullible type situation. That's not how the Most High look at it like that. He don't look at it as being some type of thing with somebody, just going along with anything. No, it's like the way this is set up here, the Most High's righteousness is going to stop you from hitting. He's going to stop you from sinning like that. So therefore, because some punishment is going to come upon you and you can't stop it. So you don't get a chance to do the right thing based on his righteousness. At this point, you're not getting a chance to fix it now. At this point, it could be through generational or whatever it's through. But at this point, what we have reading, stop. No, you're not going to hear it. You're not going to see it. This has to come to pass. And it's got to happen. Like when you go back to Jeremiah, what did the people not want to say? And he said, look, I need y'all to do it. They say, we ain't going to do it. He said, look, you're going to serve King Nebuchadnezzar. Jeremiah was letting them know. And at that point, that was far-fetched to know that you'll be serving King Nebuchadnezzar and Babylon was going to take you over. But that was prophesied years prior to them coming under the authority of Nebuchadnezzar, way before Daniel, Shadrach, and Meshach, Abednego. I know those are not their names, but when you see them coming, at that point, it was already prophesied that you were going to be held captive and have to actually be under the authority of King Nebuchadnezzar. Just give you an example. So the Most High used situations to actually show his people, look, I'm going to take you through bondage so that you can get it right. And so once again, you have the same situation. We're here and we came over here on ships and we're here based on our ancestors and what they've done. And this is Babylon. A lot of people don't understand being here. We have to make sure that we don't get beside ourselves and start accepting everything that this system, this beast system, presents us as being right and righteous. They don't have the right way for us. They don't have the way our children should be raised. They don't have the way we should eat in our best interest. They don't have, but they present it to us because of laziness, a lack of studying, and they capitalize on people's ignorance. And so since they can do that, you get caught up in the web and you look at what the Most High said to be righteous is unrighteous because they say it's not nice. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. I mean, like being nice ain't got nothing to do with being righteous and unrighteous. That's just the way the world show you things. And we get caught up in this stuff. Like, this is why some people can't tell people no. Like that. Like the Most High is saying, don't do it. If you don't feel like you need to be doing it, there's nothing wrong with it. It's best that you say no than to enter into something half-cocked and half-hearted because you didn't really feel that you were supposed to be doing. Just say no. That's it. You know, and it's nothing. It's not being rude. It's just being direct. It's best to be in a line of communication than out of it. If you're going to be involved in something, that's where if you're not involved in it, it don't matter. But if you're involved in something, don't get involved in it. If you got to be shaky or halfway, just say, look, now I'm good right now. I get what you want. I do that. That way, at least they can't say I'm half doing it. You could be mad because I didn't agree, but that's personal. But that's the thing. But you have to respect the fact that I'm not entering into it if I can't be 100 with it. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And we don't look at that like that because, like I say, these words love and righteous, nice, and all this stuff then actually, you know, through Webster and played on our intelligence. So we don't understand that that's not how the way the Most High operate. He don't operate based on emotions and feelings when it comes to love straight out like you would think, because it won't feel good. You know, sometimes, you know, love chastises. You say you spat a rod, you spoiled a child. So is that wrong? Yeah, they told you this. Now they're saying you can go to jail. Like that. So it's like, but what the word say. So you have to figure out what's the balance. I mean, you know, so it's like, you know.
12.
Yeah.
And Yahuwah have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. But yet in it shall be a tent, and it shall return and shall be eaten as a teal tree and as an oak, whose substance is in them. When they cast their leaves, so the Kodesh seed shall be the substance thereof.
Only a remnant. You know what I mean? Like that, it's only a remnant. That's what the Most High. So it's like when you look at this here, you know, many are called and few are chosen. That's it. You know, it's only a remnant. That's the thing. Like, it's never going to be the way you think it is. You know, I look at a lot of this stuff and I say, okay, look, why is this like this? Everything has been designed to actually deal with you mentally, to actually get you on a whole nother level of thinking. It's trying to seal your conscience with a hot iron. This is why you have to let, you know, the mind of the Mashiach be inside of you. If you don't, you get caught up with the mind of this world, the way this world is set up. They have agreed to everything the Most High said don't agree to. Once again, they've created a whole nother 10 commandments, everything. Like everything that they're doing is the opposite of what the Most High wants you to do. Like, you know, they war to them, they call evil good and good evil. It's like everybody's doing what they think is right. And what's right in the eyes of the world, you know, it's not right in the eyes of the Most High. Like most times, the Most High may be showing you something not to get involved in this system in a public way. He may say, hey, look, take your kids out of school, do this. They say, you stupid. Why your kids don't go to school? Well, who started that? Like that. Why did this start? This started when we started destroying the families. This started, you know, I mean, you know, it's a slave mentality, but most of this stuff started during COINTELPRO, during the 80s, the crack era and all this stuff, when the fathers were took out of the house. They start, you know, setting things up. They start, you know, empowering more of the women power. Nothing against women doing things. I'm just saying, when you move the fathers out the house, what they got left, he in jail. Average guy knew, you know, that was actually in the hood that didn't have the dad in the house. At this point, if I can think of it, went to jail. I'm telling you, I can name a lot of them from where I grew up at, went to jail. And those that didn't go to jail, that actually had them, that actually did stuff, which was really trying to reel it in a little bit. But the ones I noticed, because I had my mom, I had my stepdad in the house, and granted, there had been issues in the house, it still kept a level of gravity there, where it kept me at a level of not going too far on the edge like that. Because if I had just had my mom, I could have just really ran over her. The way I seen things, it was him most of the time stepping up, saying, hey man, where you gonna be or where you going, just checking in, just really trying to get me to communicate on what, you know, what's gonna be happening, where would they be able to find me and stuff like that, where you hang at here and there, just asking certain stuff. But on my mom end, as long as I was gone, it wasn't even a big deal. If he wasn't there, it'll tell him where I probably would have been, just keeping it real like that, because he was the one that would really figured out as a resistance of me really just going too far in the deep end. I probably wouldn't even came home half of the night like that. I mean, like even in school, because we were just, you know, out there having a good time, just out there, you know, partying and stuff. So just one of those things where I see the level of gravity there by him being a father figure in the house, no matter what issue they may have had personally. I see the level of gravity when I look back at it and say that actually had a balance, like that it kept some level of balance. But when you're not there, I can show the real live examples. they're in jail now. Some of them now. He wasn't there, and they just done what they wanted to do. Half of them might wind up getting on drugs and stuff. So really a no-win situation for them. And some of them was selling it to them. So it's like, so you look at it, and it's what you got going on. But I just wanted to read this just to talk about the idea of people getting in your way and distracting you, and people stopping your view of the Most High and being the Most High for you. Like you can't have nobody being in the place of the Most High for you. People don't have no heaven, no hell to put you in. They can't usurp the authority of the Most High in your life. You can't give nobody that type of authority. And this is what happens when we get out of line with some of these titles. It's like, the title has to be respected in its natural place where it's at. When you talk about Paul, you talk about Timothy, they had a personal relationship. And Timothy and Paul, he said, this was the son of my own bowel. So you don't just run around respecting any person as a father just because they're in a level of authority inside of a religious setting. They have to actually be in your life to do something, to actually show some type of relationship values with you. So when you start talking about now, and you deal with the prophet, you deal with the mores, the bishops, and all this stuff on both levels, this stuff has to have some level of activity in your life. Like I was telling the guy, nothing against ones that are elders, just they thing, and this is what they call themselves, whatever they want, title they want to go by. But for you to be personally one, for me to look up to you, you have to been done something, and like we have to have a relationship. Other than that, I'm just calling you something, you know what I mean? Just a title like that. So like people, they value the titles, but they don't want the work. This is why it said, do the work of an evangelist. He told Timothy, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of your ministry. And he give the elders a charge. The elders must do this. Like there's a list of stuff I'm saying that doesn't really line up with some of the people that's using these names and using these words. It gives you what a deacon must be this. You know what I'm saying? He tells you, you must not be quick to anger. All this stuff we say, everything, there's 16 qualifications for the deacon. When you read all this stuff, and if it don't line up, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like if you saying you're a bishop and you're not blameless, I know you won't have a flawless past, but now that you're not in the past, you shouldn't still be moving in an awkward way. And now that you start saying, look, from the moment you start taking the office of a bishop, at that point, you should line up with those qualifications. You shouldn't be given to strong drink. You shouldn't be, you got to be the husband of one wife. You can't be having a ton of them. Like you got to make sure that you're doing just what the Most High said you got to do in those qualifications. And if you're not, people are playing games and they're giving you some level of respect that's really ruining you because of the fact that I'm not, when you see it and it's not there, automatically that go, I want to know what is your name, because I got to get to know you. I don't know you off being a bishop or being a Murray or being a prophet. I need to know who are you. But they don't want to do that because that steps on a personal level of authority of who they are. So it's like, so if we can't do that, I won't even deal with you. That's just it, because I know right now you're out of line. Like I say, for you to be lined up, we have to form. Now, once we get to know each other and I've seen some fruit, okay, yeah, such and such, this, whatever. Outside of that, what am I doing? Because that's not what he said. He said, do the work. He didn't say call people this and call people that. But we're doing that because this is what we've been taught to do, because we are sheep-minded. And so being like that is like, it's offensive to actually be real. That's the thing. But if you just keep it like what the word said, it means that if somebody gets mad and you going by this, that means that they're out of line and beside themselves. But the average person lets them do it. So since they let them get away with it and do it so much, you don't challenge it. So you just keep looking up to them, back to that, figure of the Most High, and they keep being high. You don't even know who some of these folks is, and you going off somebody else telling you who they are, and you call them this and this and that, and you're looking up to them as some great one, like certain ones that may be having somebody in their life that they know somebody else, and they're giving them by word, but it don't be nothing, just a bunch of flattery like that. So we got to make sure there's some real fruit. And if you don't have real fruit, you don't have real relationship, then the Most High is not honoring you based on a relationship somebody else got with somebody. That's the thing. You got to have a relationship with them. That's not reality. That's the way, that we've been taught to think. Like you have to program yourself and click into what's real and what's false. And if you see what's real is that you put the work in, do the work, and be who the Most High told you to be. And the title comes with that. Like if I don't see you evangelizing, what are you, like, why are we calling you evangelist such and such and stuff? I mean, this is like the religious mentality of people. Yet you say that, but the person on the street, most time they won't say that their name. They know them off for something different like that. But you drank the Kool-Aid, so it kind of puts you in the thought of you're under the actual foot, because of the fact that you sit there and agree with the process that's around you. You have to know how to buck the system without going against the Most High. Like you have to buck the world system. And doing that, it actually separates you from the crowd because the crowd are followers. They're not trying to research and study to show themselves improved. They're going to do what's common, what everybody else is doing. But when you're uncommon, you kind of like the black sheep because it's like you don't want to just fold and give into what you see that's going on. But anyway, that's all I got. I'm gonna end the prayer. Well, y'all, thank you right now for the word that went forth. I thank you right now for just constantly being with us and leading and guiding us throughout this day. Once again, we thank you for this day of rest. We thank you right now for the opportunity to be able to get closer unto you. We thank you for just constantly just allowing us to be righteous in your eyes, not just in the eyes of man, but to do what is right in your sight.
Yes, sir.
And we thank you right now. In the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it.
So be it.